Welcome back to the Last Stopwatch channel. I'm Bryant. Today, we are going to attempt to repair a vintage Bulova watch that I picked up off of eBay. Before we get into the details, though, a quick wrist check. Today, I'm wearing my Pagoda little watch that my wife picked up for me for Christmas. It's got a offset second hand there at the bottom. Got a little display case back. I'm not sure this is the original case for the watch, but it was just a cute little watch my wife picked up for me for Christmas. I quite enjoy it. So, to the watch. Now, I picked up this watch a while back off of eBay, hoping to just learn a little bit about cleaning and dismantling watches. Well, I have since taken this watch completely apart, serviced it, and put it back together again. Now, this watch in particular has a bad mainspring, which, ironically, so does this Bulova. So today's goal will be for me to dismantle this watch, clean, reassemble, oil, and replace the mainspring. Now, I found the correct mainspring because the model of the movement is a 7AK. The Bulova caliber 7AK was produced from 1936 to 1950. It's a 21 joule movement with 18,000 beats per hour. It has one pull for the crown, and that is to set the time. And it has an offset second hand here. This watch was manufactured in the United States, and this particular case is 10 karat gold filled. Now you can see there's some scratches on the case itself, and the crystal is kind of scratched up. I'm not really going to try to do much with any of that because scratches kind of tell a story, and I don't have the equipment to fix it. So let's take a look at the inside of this watch. Try to gently move the case back here. Without scratching up the watch even more. There we go. And there we can see dial's got a little dirt on it. I will try to gently clean that dirt off at some point. Down for a second. And then we have Bulova, 5th Avenue of New York. We have some markings here. I'll see if I can read these off camera. Yeah, there's definitely some sort of codes in there, but I can't make out what they are. If you know what B8308 and F5407 mean, leave me a comment down below. I'm going to put this to the side. Inside of our case, this is a little grimy. I'll probably take a toothbrush to this and clean off most of the dirt before popping this into the ultrasonic. It's our beveled crystal here. I don't know what this is made of, but it feels like glass. I'm not going to try to do much in polishing it. And the glass is friction fit on the case itself. Going back to the movement. We are going to, here we are. See if I can zoom in for you there. Get our tools. And the first thing we've got to do is remove the hands. Slip our little protective cover over the hands. I'm just gently prying them off. Now for this very, very tricky access to the second hand here. I'm not really sure quite how to get underneath that. So I think what I'm going to try to do is just under the best I can. There we go. This looks like this will be a lot of fun putting back on. And using those plastic tweezers you guys recommended. Thank you. They work most of the time. Now what I'm looking for, some way to get the, back out here there a little bit. I need to get some way to get the dial off of the watch. Like we've got a little movement. It looks like we've got a little dial screw there. So I'm going to take this, turn it just a little bit. You don't want to do too much because sometimes these are not meant to come out. And if you turn it too many times, you could break the screw. There we go. There's our movement, or there's our dial. Looks like there's a little bit of surface gunk on there. I'll try to clean the back off as well. There. And there is our 7AK movement. Now I'm going to take this fully apart. And I know already that the hands move. I know that if you can hear that, the winding mechanism works. The only problem is the mainspring. But like I said, we're going to replace that today. So the first things first, starting the disassembly here. Got the main gear off the front just to get it out of the way. Now we're going to take the balance off. I'm going to try one of my other movement holders. Here we go. Again, we'll zoom back in here, hopefully. Resolution will work on that. I'm going to try to keep all the screws together with their parts. Yeah, the balance is not going into my ultrasonic. Most of these other parts will, and they won't be going in for very long. Just long enough to try to knock some of the dirt from the past 70-something years. Now, gently, little notch right here. Gently use our screwdriver. Pry on that notch, and that'll just loosen the balance off the movement. Ease the balance out. I think the next thing we want to tackle is this bridge here, which covers our train of wheels. And again, I'm trying to keep all the different parts together. I'm going to keep all of the screws together with the bridges, gears all together, and the such. That way, when I go to reassemble the movement, I know where everything is. Those screws all seem to be the same size. Now right here, you can see we've got a much bigger opening for a screwdriver. I'm just gently getting my screwdriver underneath, moving my way around. We can take brass tweezers, gently lift. Now you see we have our seconds wheel here. We'll get the escape wheel after I remove the pallet fork bridge here. Gently prying up on the edge there. Removing the bridge. Moving pallet fork. Now we can get to our escape wheel. Now to remove the hour and minute wheel here, we're going to have to remove the winding bridge, I guess you would call this. Still learning. Every repair is its own little adventure. Feel free, if I am labeling things incorrectly, to let me know in the comments down below. Again, I am learning. This is a hobby. I'm just sharing my learning experience with you, because you guys seem to enjoy it. Luckily, it looks like all of the train screws are all the same size, but I'm still going to keep them separated. Now, gently prying up on this bridge. Gonna have to pry and pull out. Look at that. Now that bridge all came out together, and this is our culprit here. This is what we'll be working on. Here is our main wheel, which is stuck on by the cannon pinion. I do know that part. So there's our cannon pinion right there. I don't know, I'm going to zoom out a little bit there to help. Now we can take out main wheel, minute wheel. Now we have winding mechanism. It's all handled from the other side of the watch. All this here, this one little plate here, actually a lever for the movement. So when you pull movement, you get moving this to go from winding to setting time. And gently screwing things. I'm going to have all little separate baskets to put this stuff in. But when it comes time to put all this stuff back together, I'll hopefully know what I'm doing. And there, that lever. And we have to be very, very careful because right there is a spring. Get a piece of Rodico here and screw it just in case. This way. Spring. Our little Our winding mechanism just came out. That seems to be stuck right there on the crown stem. Now, interestingly enough, this crown, a little hard to see, but this crown, like a piece of metal on the outside. I don't know if that's supposed to go in the movement or what, but take a look at that after it's all clean. Okay. Now, I've seen a lot of watch repair videos where they take the crown screw out, this screw that holds the crown in place, basically. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put the whole movement in something to clean it. So first things first, we're going to take, oh, we do have to take this apart. I forgot. So these are a little bit bigger screws, and I believe this one is reverse threaded. Yes. That screw was reverse threaded. I'm going to go ahead, put things in our little basket here. This is our culprit here. This is what is causing the watch not to work. Taking a look here, see right here appears to be another spring. I'm going to be very, very careful with that. Here, clicking mechanism out. Use particle down. Get that out. Oh, there's our little spring. Our basket. Now onto this. So I'm going to just take this and grab my fingernails and put it around the teeth here. Sometimes works, sometimes you have to Put off camera a little bit here. They do make a tool for this as well. I do not own that tool. Try this. Just putting my tweezers around it. There we go. All right, so here is our main spring barrel. Slowly pop out a little bit of it. Oh yeah. Yeah. That should tell you right there. There's your problem. That's why this watch isn't winding. I'll take one more look at this. I want to make sure for the film that I get everything right the next time I go to put this in. Otherwise, that'd be really awkward. Now we've got to play on the lip of the spring. So it looks like the spring winds in like that, so clockwise. I think I found the end of the spring. This part's kind of new to me because the last mainspring I replaced, there we go. And yes, it does move clockwise. But the last mainspring I replaced, if you remember, was on that Vostok watch. You also have to be very, very careful when removing these because they can shoot out like this one just did. You can see there, this is the original steel. Anyway, the Vostok was the last one that I replaced, and it came pre-packaged with an entire mainspring. And it is in my collection and running smooth as silk right now. So, all right, so we've got that basket set up. Now it's just a matter of putting all the other parts that I'm cleaning in these baskets. And again, there's some items that I'm not going to put in here to clean. Some of these items are either too small or too fragile, so they're going to get their own method of being cleaned. While I'm putting all these parts in here, I wanted to thank you guys. Currently, we are sitting at over 1,300 subscribers, which is pretty cool considering this was a channel I set up basically to document my progress in learning all that I could about watches. And you guys seem very, very interested, and I'm very appreciative. If you like the channel, please share the channel with others. And don't forget to like this video. So I'm zooming back out a little bit because I'm going to show you these 4 baskets I have set up. Now these I bought off of Amazon. I'll link them in the description. But I'm going to take these, put them in an ultrasonic cleaner, and then we're going to take care of the dial, and I'm going to scrub down this a little bit, and then we're going to dip this. I have some stuff called One Dip, and it's supposed to be good for jewels and palette stones and dirty hairsprings. So we're going to clean all this stuff, and I'll be back. All right, so while we're waiting for everything else, I thought I would try my hand at getting some of this gunk off this dial. Now, all I'm using is a Q-tip and just the lightest bit of water. That's all I dare try to use on this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here because that's where the most kind of gunk is, and I'm going to see just wiping the dial helps. Thing is quite possibly 70 years old. Use the other side to roll it dry. It does seem like it's working a little bit, so I'm going to continue doing this. Very, very gentle as I go. Just working my way on the watch face. Again, this is nothing more than a Q-tip with a little butter on it. Does seem to be helping quite a bit. I'm not trying to make this perfect, but if I can get the bigger bits, dirt and corrosion off the face, we'll just make the watch look that much nicer when we're finished. Really hard to see on camera, but there is a spot right there of the second dial. Doesn't want to come off, so I'm not gonna force it too much. I'm just trying to give this a more of a superficial clean. I think that looks a lot better than it did. I'm just going to check the back here, just make sure that there's no crud built up on it. Be okay. Put that back. And again, the same thing with this. I'm just going to use a toothbrush instead this time and just kind of brush at the case. Just want to try to knock any loose dirt off. I'm not really trying to polish or clean this case because I don't have the proper tools for it. And I guess it might not even hurt to put this in the ultrasonic, but I don't really want to chance that with it being a gold-filled watch. And that's really it. That's all we're going to do to that. No, I said I was not going to clean this in the ultrasonic. I've got this One Dip stuff, and this may not be the correct thing to use, on this. And if it's not, you can let me know in the comments down below. But I'm going to run this over the facial features here. This is just trying to knock out some of the buildup of grime or anything like that. I'm not trying to go too crazy on this part. Everything's just come out of the ultrasonic. All right. And so we've got our baskets out there over here. And I had to check the ultrasonic because the baskets or the screws that I put in the basket were so small that one of them slipped through. So we've got a screw here. But luckily, like I said before, most all these screws are the exact same size. Start laying out our parts. I'm excited about the mainspring because the mainspring is Bulova new old stock, which I was actually surprised I could find. But it should come pre-oiled. Put a little grease in there before we seal everything up, just to be on the safe side. And this is what I was talking about. It's going to be really hard to see, but this is that spring that I put in there. There we go. It was trying to sneak out the bottom of the basket. So at this point, I'm just trying to get all the parts out so that we can let them dry and then dip the ones that I'm going to dip. And we'll check our bridges. Escape wheel. All the tiny little screws. This we're going to have to clean up a little bit. There's some rust on it. I'll show you in a sec. I'm trying to sneak out there. Our cleaned crown and stem. Main front gear. All right. So this you can see has a little rust on here. So what I'm going to do is just try to brush that off. Even try to just see if it scrapes off. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to try too terribly hard. Mainly because I don't want this to break, because I've had to replace one of these before on a ETA 6497 movement that I had. dipping some of these parts. It's supposed to help protect them, as well as clean them up a little bit. It'll also help these dry a little bit faster than what we had going on before. Which was basically just on this towel here. Right. That all looks good. We've got our balance and our palette fork over there off to the side. I think the first thing we might need to do we're going to have to get setting levers back in. Right there. We just need to get this spring in here. So I'm going to put just a little bit oil here. It's the tiniest little bit. I'm going to put some right as well. And that's just because these parts are moving. Here we go. Now that we've got those back on, attach this clutch I want to make sure first that our base. All right. So as I said before, all of these screws size we're going to take 2 screws, just trying to get looking at it, I'm not even sure that that's the right screw. Relief. Right screw. Yeah. Down. 1 to go. Now, when I was trying to use the wrong screws that look like that, one of them disappeared, so we will have to find that a little bit later. Since those are all train bridges, I think we would be safe to not worry about that at the moment. I do want to make sure you'll have the ability in the winding mechanism. Which part of is this? That. And then our crown. To do that, I'm going to put the gear here directly on the crown. And you want to make sure that this is on the correct way as well. Might be a little hard to see. The teeth are longer and a little more jagged on one side than they are the other. And that part goes in towards the watch. All right, so I've got that in place. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might not have had to do that. Might be something I can get away with doing later. And the only other gear we have to go on is this one, which is going to go here. Like this, but this will be like the last thing that we put on because we've got a cannon, pinion, and other things that need to go on there. So we're going to flip this around. And I think what we need to do now is take care of our mainspring. Put the tiniest little bit of oil there. This is going to be kind of exciting. Because this is supposed to be an all-in-one thing, and I won't need a movement or a mainspring winder. Beautiful it is. It should just pop right in. All right, and so the other good thing about this is there's like a little dummy block there. So I cannot put this in backwards. I should. So just line that up. Hopefully press it in place. So what I'm trying to do, there's a little lip. There's a little lip right there. And I'm trying to get that lined up on the mainspring barrel. And in theory, that should just allow me to pop this right in. I'm also terrified of this like flying apart because I do not have a mainspring winder. Let's try it this way, using finger cots instead, so I can see a little bit better and hopefully get this in. I might have to do this off camera as well, because I need to be able to see what I'm doing. All right, so I've got a couple of pieces of good news. I've got a couple pieces of bad news. The good news is that I've gotten the watch completely back together and everything is working up until this point. I've got everything oiled, and I've got the mainspring replaced. I've got the escapement, and I've got the pallet fork in there. So all of that is good. First piece of bad news is I don't have any video of this. So I promise you guys the next time I do a watch build, I'll remember to hit record. Apparently I sat here and filmed a whole bunch of stuff without pressing the record button. The second bit of bad news is while trying to put the balance back in, I have separated balance spring from the balance cock. So there you go. You can see there, the balance spring's not broken, it's just bent. So I tried to put it all back together, but even under a microscope, I was unable to do so. So I went to eBay and found a company called Rusty Pig Primitives. You just basically put the mainspring barrel there and push down, and that's it. It goes right into place. So that's just in case I didn't have the video there. So now we're going to gingerly unscrew and remove balance. Oh, and as a secondary wrist check to the video, I'm wearing my Pagani design. I don't even remember the model number of this thing. I did an unboxing of it in first impressions, and as you can see here, the little glow in the dark indicator here on the bezel has broken off. I don't think that's anything to do with Pagani design. I think that's everything to do with the fact that I am a very clumsy individual, as many of you have protested to. This channel. But I promise I'm trying to get better. All right, so I'm going to now go in here, gently pry, just to get balance cock off of the mounts that it's on. Now I'm gently going to get underneath balance, pull the whole thing out. Now I'm going to do the reverse and hopefully get it right the first time. me get that impulse jewel. Needs to be. Gently lifting. We've got our impulse jewel right there, which is in line with this little pin here. Make sure that our basically we're just trying to get it lined up so that when I put everything in place, and you can tell it's not right because it doesn't seem to be moving balanced back and forth. So let's start over here. This is where I traditionally run into trouble. This is not the easiest thing in the world for me. So there. Spring, or impulse jewel, sorry. There we go. We've got life. Whew. So nervous I was going to break this again. So I'm going to get this squared away here. If I can remember correctly, I think this thing's just not wound up. But just a test. Yeah, there we go. I'm happy with that. It's working. Nothing bad's going to happen to this donor movement. I'm probably going to take it to a watchmaker that I know in the town near me to either have him repair it properly or just give it to him for donor parts. He's a really nice guy. So now our next step is to get our gear in place here. Before the dial goes in place is a little spring that goes there. So got our movement all set. Find the dial feet holes. Probably loosen them back up. I think I tightened them down before. There we go. There's our happy little movement back in place. So now all we need are the hands. And I will, based on your advice, switch out from my metal tweezers to my plastic tweezers. All three hands. Start with the hour. Just trying to get that lined up to 12 as much as possible. And making sure that the hand is level as possible. It's very hard to see, but turn it this way. Any easier? There we go. Looks pretty spot on to me. So now we'll go with our minute hand. Now we'll just do a real quick test. Pull out here and make sure that try that again. Sure that our hand is all the way down, giving our minute hand something to hold on to. Spin it round all the way back to the 12. Go. So now the one that's probably going to require Radico is our second hand. Maybe we will cheat just a little bit and grab a pair of tweezers that actually have a tip. I am picking up new tools all the time. Got this nice Vortec magnifier here. Try not to get my head in the camera, but it looks like it might. All right. I'm just going to very gently push on the second hand. And you can see that it's moving happily. So now all that's left, put the watch back in its case. Making sure that I align a little bit here. There we go. Last but not least, just snapping our case back into place. So there you have it. I'm so happy that I was able to share most of this with you guys. I'm sorry that I didn't get all the parts of the video where I was able to actually put the watch back together, but I promise that I will be doing this again. Got this really, really cheap strap here from Amazon, but my wife is learning to make straps. She's made her first strap ever for one of my Vostoks. You can see she's gotten even better since then. But I love this little strap. She's working on some as we speak, and I will show you more when they're available. I would love to find a more vintage style strap for this watch, but for now, I think that looks pretty good. What do you think? Nice looking 1940s Bulova men's wristwatch. Completely rebuilt, cleaned, and serviced by yours truly. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I have making it. My name is Bryant. This is the Last Stop Watch channel. Have a good day.